Hello there, thank you for joining us on TVC News. I am Azeezat Olaoluwa. An Italian judge has ordered oil majors Royal Dutch Shell and Eni to stand trial over alleged corruption in a case of $1.3 billion purchase of an offshore oil block in Nigeria in 2011, which is estimated to hold 9 billion barrels of crude. The judge in Milan ordered Eni, Shell and key figures such as Eni chief and his predecessor, Paolo Scaroni, to stand trial in proceedings to begin in March. But all parties involved have previously denied any wrongdoing over the deal, in which Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and his oil minister were said to have received bribes. Both companies have repeatedly maintained that they acquired the rights to the lucrative block in line with Nigerian law. The Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation says it has increased petrol supply in order to make queues at petrol stations disappear. In a statement released on Tuesday, the state oil company said Abuja would now get 30 more fuel trucks daily, bringing it up to 100 trucks for the country's capital. It also says Lagos is now being supplied 300 trucks of petrol daily. The NNPC wants Nigerians to quit panic buying and has assured that it has 21 days sufficiency of petrol. TVC News correspondent Tolulope Ogunjobi, who is out on the field, reports that the scarcity and queues persist in Lagos.
Let me talk to Mr. Ndonosa because we've been going around and checking the level of fuel at stations, and let him just tell you by himself what we're actually doing. Good day, sir. Welcome to TVC News. Just tell us what we are doing and what we intend to achieve.
Now, the purpose of our monitoring is to ensure that no marketer is holding the products. And in this specific case, there have been some issues that this station has been involved in that we are trying to resolve. Actually, we are going to do what we call monitored sales here to ensure that the product is, whatever they have in stock is sold to the public. And then, because of the scarcity we are all witnessing now, but all the same, we are here to actually do monitored sales, and then we write the company to come and explain why they did what they did. If they are able to exonerate themselves, we will reopen the station again. If not, if we are convinced that they are not fit to operate in accordance with our regulations or our laws and regulations, we can even revoke the license.
In Ondo State capital, Akure, economic and social activities have been grounded. Many residents are stranded as fuel scarcity bites harder. But this has caused commercial motorists and motorcyclists to increase transport fares. Residents want government to urgently solve the scarcity problem.
This is my car. I just park it, I cannot move. I have to either I use my leg or I use bike. Even the bike, the kind of the cost of bike now, even at least go higher than more than what even we were expecting. You can see now the numbers of the cars that are moving now is even reducing. Things are very tense.
And if this could continue like this, it's going to continue to pose problem to the masses. And I'm now begging on the government to just intervene on this situation, because Ondo State should not be exceptional. Because we heard that there is fuel in Lagos and some other places. I don't know why that of Ondo State is like this.
Even as I am with you, I want to travel, but because of the fuel, I can't even go for my business. Like my place I live in Champion down to Cathedral here is 100 naira. It's something they enter 50 naira before. It's now 100 naira because of the scarcity. And we are even begging the government if they can do something from now till Friday.
People are no more going to farms, they are at home. Even people are no more traveling as a result of the scarcity of oil. And what we got to know is that those filling stations, they have it, but it's as if they intend keeping it for some time so as to get more money or extort people.
I'm now going to Futa now. I have to trek down from my house to where I want to purchase something now. I'm supposed to be there now. But due to this scarcity of fuel, I was unable to reach that place.
Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara State and Labour leaders have disagreed over disbursement of the last tranche of the Paris Club loans refund. Speaking during a live radio program in Ilorin, Ahmed said the money would not be used for the payment of salary arrears of local government workers. But this is just as the national leadership of the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees directed its state chapters to demand the payment of its members from the money. Governor Ahmed said part of the previous one was used to settle local government workers' salary arrears at the expense of some state workers, stressing that attention would be shifted to state workers this time around.
The local governments do not have a share in the Paris Club funding. The Paris Club is a refund of funds the state paid twice to some of the loans it collected. And the federal government is now refunding the states. What we gave to the local governments was out of our own magnanimity, because the monies are not free money. It is the state money which the state is collecting back. And this monies, in our own magnanimity, we gave a portion to the local government. Don't forget, at the time we did it at the expense of our own staff. Now that the last tranche of the 50% has come, we are already going to settle these people that we did not pay at that time.
From the National Secretariat, we give directive to all the 7774 local government where there have been old arrears of salaries and where Paris Club loan refund has been released, for them to demand for their share of that money.
That the local government was one of the contributors to the repayment of Paris Club loan. By this, local government is a bona fide member from the refund of the overpayment. Secondly, other states of the Federation are declaring certain percentage in favor of local government. Why should Kwara be in an exception?
The endorsement of Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike for a second term in office by some former lawmakers in the state is not going down well with members of the opposition. A former Deputy Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly and a member of the All Progressives Congress, Leyi Kwane, described the group which carried out the endorsement as illegitimate. According to him, the Forum of Former Lawmakers remains the only recognized group of past members of the State Assembly. The former Deputy Speaker said the focus of the state government should be on delivering good governance rather than gathering support ahead of the 2019 governorship election.
There is no such body led by the senator. 2, the only forum known to me is the one led by Right Honorable Stephen Ezekwem. Should we be talking of an endorsement now that Rivers people are crying as a result of the issue of suit that is all over the place? Do we have to wait until all of us die before solutions should be proffered to such a health issue like that? I would expect that people like Adawari Makpepo should be thinking of our pensioners that are yet to be paid for onwards of several months now. I should be thinking of that people of such caliber should bother themselves with the issue of the sanitary state of Rivers State currently. If you drive around the city of Port Harcourt, Port Harcourt currently is almost competing with Aba in terms of filth and dirtiness. Should issues of that nature not bother them than going about seeking for signatories to document that we endorse His Excellency for a second term?
The national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, has called on all levels of government to work on increase in workers' salaries and ensure their entitlements are promptly paid. He was speaking at the opening session of the National Executive Council meeting of the body in Abeokuta, in the state capital. He noted that the significant roles he says workers play in the sustenance of the nation's economy are important. As a result, they should be treated well in the country.
Once we have chief executives that look at workers as partners in progress, workers as people also that add tremendous value to the issue of governance, then the relationship will certainly be very smooth and the payment of salaries and wages will not be a problem. We have seen states that receive very high revenue, but at the end of the day, they don't prioritize the issue of payment of worker salary or pensioners.
Payment of worker salary has been net payment, excluding other deductions, We form part of the movement of workers. This condition has led to backlog of unpaid cooperative deduction, personal savings, bank loans, affecting workers negatively. However, the government is attending to this, and we are hopeful when things improve, Ogun State government will not only clear the backlog of salary reduction, but commence gross salary payments.
Salaries must be paid as and when due. Yes, if you don't pay, you create, it's an invitation to treat, really. Yes, you don't pay somebody, of course you won't get the best out of him. You must pay so that you will have the moral right to challenge. You'll be operating from a position of strength to challenge that. Wait a minute, why are you not doing this? Yes.
Labour leaders in Osun State have threatened that if the state government does not start paying full salaries and pensions, they would go on strike. The chairman of the NLC in the state says workers may embark on an industrial action on Tuesday if the practice of paying partial salaries was not stopped. Jacob Adekomi claims the agreement reached 2 years ago with government on modulated salaries was supposed to last for just 3 months.
Government to start the first promotion for all our members, to start the process of promotion. We want them to pay as from today, pensioners and workers, active workers, full salary as from November. No more mutilated salary. And also the circular that you embargoed confirmation, conversion of appointments should be lifted. Finally, we wish to say that leadership of Labour is committed to the struggle to put smile on the faces of all workers and pensioners alike. The engine of the struggle is moving, and it has no reverse gear. We enjoy all workers in the state to keep faith with leadership of Labour and await further directives as we salute your steadfastness and structures at a very difficult time like this.
Indeed, Mr. Governor made it very clear the fact that the finances of the state is not strong enough to start paying full salary, and that they should hold on and persevere a little more as he hopes and expects that the bad situation will be over very shortly. We have always been relating very well before, and we are still relating very well. Gray areas will be, brought on top, and it will be discussed thoroughly, and I believe that before whatever date that is set, there will be an agreement that will be in the interest of the state of Osun, the people, the development and growth.
Well, the Senate Committee on Power has alleged a high level of duplication in the 2018 budget of the ministry. We have details of that and, of course, more stories after this break. Stay with us. You're watching TVC News. The Senate Committee on Power has alleged high level of duplication of items in the 2018 budget estimates of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, describing it as embarrassing and unacceptable. At a budget defense session with the Minister of State and the Permanent Secretary, the lawmakers observed that 120 million naira, 480 million naira and 288 million naira were separately budgeted for purchase of utility vehicles. The committee, led by Senator Azeezat Olaoluwa, says the ministry also earmarked 100 million naira for transfer and management of office files and documents. He added that annually the ministry presents the same items in the budget and asks for more funds to execute the same projects. Public affairs analyst Ninyi Akinshiju shares his thoughts on this.
This is how governance should be rendered, where you have members of the National Assembly
You're watching TVC News. The Senate Committee on Power has alleged high level of duplication of items in the 2018 budget estimates of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, describing it as embarrassing and unacceptable. At a budget defense session with the Minister of State and the Permanent Secretary, the lawmakers observed that 120 million naira, 480 million naira and 288 million naira were separately budgeted for purchase of utility vehicles. The committee, led by Senator Azeezat Olaoluwa, says the ministry also earmarked 100 million naira for transfer and management of office files and documents. He added that annually the ministry presents the same items in the budget and asks for more funds to execute the same projects. Public affairs analyst Ninyi Akinshiju shares his thoughts on this.
This is how governance should be rendered, where you have members of the National Assembly properly engaging the process of budget review and, of course, passing the budget. Like I always insist, a budget is supposed to be a document of integrity and transparency. And as a process of that passage that would establish that character of the budget, and this is what the National Assembly is giving us. I am even looking beyond these other vague allocations, to the duplication, especially in the transmission company's budget and the Ministry of Power's budget. I think that's part of the battle against corruption. These are the areas Nigerians should start looking at, area of budgeting. We've heard of budget padding before, especially such emanating from the National Assembly. And now, if some civil servants or personnel of government are also trying to play smart, we should be able to raise our eyebrows and take issues with such people.
All right. The National Universities Commission has presented provisional licenses to 6 new private universities at the National Universities Commission, Abuja. Permanent Secretary Sunday Ochona, who represented the minister, explained that the approvals given were to help further ease access to tertiary education in Nigeria. Among the universities given licenses are Admiralty University, Delta, Spiritan University, Abia, Atiba University, Oyo, Eko University of Medical and Health Science, Lagos, and Pamo University of Medical Science, Rivers States.
So I will encourage all those that can afford, despite the bleak story of a university where there are only 14 students, I will still encourage those who can afford it to establish private universities, because the government alone cannot do that. I'm very happy the services also are getting into this venture. I congratulate the Navy for setting the first step.
For the Admiralty University, its establishment was motivated simply by the desire to expand the frontiers of education, particularly maritime education in Nigeria. I need to quickly inform here to allay the many questions in mind now that it is an endeavor of public-private partnership between Nigerian Navy Investment Arm, the Navy Holdings Limited, and the University of Nicosia, Cyprus, through the Hellenic Educational Limited as the special purpose vehicle.
We've seen what has happened to healthcare delivery in the past 40 years, and we feel that those of us who perhaps had the privilege of going to the university when universities were different, we must do something to close the gap that we now see. And we have seen that the growth of medical schools and universities have not kept pace with the growth of population. And so we have a situation where only 4% of qualified applicants can gain admission. What happens to the 96%?
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called for synergy between secretaries to state governments at all levels to ensure even development in the country. The Vice President made the call at a retreat organized by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in Abuja.
The theme of the retreat is strengthening intergovernmental relations for good governance and national security. The retreat is organized to serve as a platform for secretaries to government to rub minds on how best the system of government in Nigeria could be better positioned for growth and development. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo explains why it is important for states and the federal government to work in synergy.
So a meeting such as this, where the agenda and modalities for collaboration may be set, is in my view an eminently sensible idea and requires the full support of all of us if we are to meet the expectations of our people. Little will be achieved if we do not have relevant state government agencies actively working with the federal government to implement. So the role of secretaries to state governments is clearly central to cascading the action points and conclusions to the relevant MDAs in their states. And this is so whether we're implementing the federal government's fertilizer policy or anchor borrowers program in the states.
For me,
explaining the need for the retreat, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says the collaboration would ensure inclusive governance which would cater for the needs of all Nigerians as well as prefer possible solutions to the challenges confronting the nation.
This retreat is aimed at creating a forum where we can better achieve the balance that allows for full, effective and efficient function of the state structure for the good of all. The Office of the Secretary to the Government is a very important part of the executive arm, which plays the role of clearing and forwarding house of all government decisions, policies, and general administration. It is therefore imperative that we strive to achieve synergy at this level of governance between the federal, state, and local government structures.
No matter what efforts we do at the national level, as long as this does not trickle down at the subnational level, then all the efforts will not be achieved.
Also in attendance were the representative of the Speaker of House of Representatives, Minister of the FCT, Secretaries of Government, as well as seasoned and experienced administrators.
Former Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius has filed papers to South Africa's Constitutional Court, appealing against his 13-year jail term for shooting his girlfriend. A court last month increased Pistorius' sentence for murdering River Steenkamp to 13 years, in the latest stage of a long court battle since his trial in 2014. Pistorius was originally convicted of culpable homicide, the equivalent of manslaughter, but his conviction was upgraded to murder on appeal. Pistorius shot dead Steenkamp in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2013 when he fired 4 times through the door of his bedroom toilet, claiming he thought she was an intruder. The U.S. Senate has approved the most sweeping overhaul of the U.S. tax system in more than 3 decades. Republicans say the tax cuts for corporations, small businesses and individuals would boost economic growth. Democrats, however, who all voted against it, say it is designed to benefit the ultra-rich at the expense of the national deficit. For final approval, the legislation must go back to the House this Wednesday for a procedural issue, during which they would revote on it. If it passes as expected, it would be President Donald Trump's first major legislative triumph. The vote has kept to party lines, Republicans in favor and Democrats in protest. In sports now quickly, Chelsea and Bournemouth will go head-to-head at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. The Blues edged out Southampton 1-0 on Saturday, while Bournemouth slipped to a 4-0 defeat to Liverpool the following day. Marcus Alonso will be absent from the clash after he picked up his 5th Premier League booking of the season against Southampton.
But we played against Everton, and we did this. I repeat. Against Everton, we won the game, and we went through to the next round. I hope tomorrow as well. But as you know very well, Bournemouth is a really good team, and we must be prepared to suffer. We must be prepared to fight a lot to go through to the next round.
In Wednesday's other game, Manchester United will be looking to avoid complacency when they face informed Championship side Bristol City in the Carabao Cup quarter-final at Ashton Gate. United sits second, but still 11 points behind Premier League pace-setters Man City, and Mourinho could again turn to the first trophy on offer to lay down a marker of success this season. Well, let's wait and see how it's going to play out later today. With that, we wrap it up on TV's News this hour. Thank you for watching. But remember, you can get updates on our website. It's tvcnews.tv. You can follow us on all our social media platforms for more stories and, of course, fresh stories as well. The handle is @tvsnewsng. Thank you for watching. I am Azeezat Olaoluwa. Bye for now.